Pressure mounting for the Health Minister, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, to step aside following his admission that the awarding of a 150 million rand digital vibes irregular tender was irregular. Now, the contract was awarded for the communications work to his former private assistant, Tahira Matera, and the former spokesperson, Nadira Mitha. Now, this latest controversy around the health minister has left his reputation, some might say, tainted. Let's speak to Makhosini Mgitywa now, who is a reputation management specialist, but also a regular when it comes to political commentary. Mr. Mgitywa, thanks for your time. I was trying to ask you earlier the question about what should South Africans think when they see their health minister address the nation via television. Is he a person who is likely to still be believable, or is it someone that is simply going to invoke anger?
Well, good morning to you and your viewers. I think the most important thing for me is to reiterate what I said earlier, which is that I do have a history with Dr. Mkhize. In 2003, I worked for him. I was his head of communication. And as a political consultant, I worked for him briefly in 2017 during his campaign to be president of the ANC. That out of the way, I think this has been very damaging to him, and it comes at the most inopportune time because he has to lead communication, government communication around COVID-19 and the administration of the vaccination. And there are things that he's going to say to people that are not popular, that require him to have political capital or social capital, that people must trust him, that what he's saying is the correct thing and it's good for them and it's good for the country. Now, if he's seen as somebody who is at this time concerned about feathering his own nest, he loses a lot of credibility. There are people who may not take what he says seriously. Their government messages may be lost in the way because of that. And I think it's important. Well, I can commend him somewhat for that. There was something that appears to have been an investigation which produced the result that the tender was irregular. But that doesn't go far enough because the people that are being mentioned there are people who are known to be close to him. So it's very difficult for him to shrug this one off. And I think there may even be a need for the president to intervene in this matter, just so that, we restore the credibility of the Minister of Health, or we allow him to step aside so that somebody who doesn't have this dark cloud can do this very important work, Zweli.
Mr. Mgitywa, I appreciate what you have just said, that you've worked with Minister Mkhize before, and that perhaps could give us some window into his soul, if you like. Is he someone who is offended by corruption?
Okay, look, let me put it to you this way. Throughout the time that I worked with Dr. Mkhize in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, I never saw anything that would give me a reason to doubt him. And when I worked with him, worked for him rather, in his campaign, I did not see anything that would make me to distrust him. But I think there's a conversation that we are avoiding as South Africans. And I think I will be available to have that conversation when South Africans are ready for it.
Yeah.
And South Africans will be ready for it when they are tired of corruption. When we are tired of talking about it, when we are done with it.
Yeah.
Then there's a conversation that we must have, which is a conversation that starts with how do we elect our leaders as a country? How does the ANC as a party elect its leaders? You heard not long ago the President of the Republic saying that he raised 300 million rands for his campaign to be president of the ANC. Now, if anyone wants to contest, and which they are perfectly entitled to, by the way, if they want to contest him in 2022, which means at the very least he must have 300 million rands to have a chance. And now, I don't know where people are supposed to get this money from. And I think it's important for us to have this conversation as a country, that the way we elect our leaders is just too costly for a country that is a low-income country where the majority of the people are poor. So if you need to have 3 million rands to be president of the country, then it means that South Africa is going to become a plutocracy, a government by the rich, when it's actually...
We now, thankfully, have a precedent as set by the Gauteng Premier, David Makhura, when he sacked his health MEC, Dr. Bandile Masuku, for, and many have said, what is this thing? For his failure to provide oversight in his department. Now, here's the health minister who says, I did not know about this, but now that I'm faced with it, it does appear to have been a tender that was awarded irregularly. Is that an acceptable reasoning? Is that an acceptable justification from someone as senior in politics as Mr. Mkhize is?
You know, Goli, it's clearly unacceptable. There's no question about that. But I think let's look at what we're going to have at the end of this. That if you have allegations against you, you must step aside. I don't know how many people are going to be left in cabinet. I just do not know. And I don't know, in a situation where the country is in a war against an invisible enemy, if a country is talking about the unemployment rates that we have, in the many crises that we have as a country, that if there is an allegation against the President of the Republic, then he must step aside. There's an allegation against the Deputy President of the Republic, he must step aside. And then there are allegations against 3/4 of the cabinet, they must step aside. I don't know what sort of government we're going to have after that. I think the conversation that we need to have as South Africans is the conversation that looks at the root of corruption, that we deal with it at the source. And I think we must have also some kind of discussion that who do we give amnesty to around this, so that we can get to the bottom of what happened and then we can learn how to prevent it. I am not optimistic currently, because what we tend to do is to deal with each piece of allegations that comes up. This minister was accused of that, and we've become so numb that there isn't even a call for him to resign. People now are talking about a step aside, which is just a temporary removal. You remove yourself temporarily from your position. Yeah. Even that is something that has become difficult, where so many people are facing so many allegations of corruption.
Mkhize, I'm completely out of time, but I've got to squeeze this one in. So please, do not make me fight with my producers here. Should we still believe President Ramaphosa when he says corruption offends him?
I think it does offend him. I don't think that he can do much, because corruption is right inside, even within his inner circle. So it becomes a problem in that way. So I believe him that it offends him. I don't think that it offends him enough, unfortunately.
Makhosini Mgitywa, thank you very much for your time.